WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's Statewide Pest Control Services for all your pest and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide Pest Control Services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. That's 877-488-7378.
You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. Call me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Good morning, everyone. It is another beautiful day here in South Florida, and it is the Fish Florida Show. I am your host, Riscala, with the one and only Pam Worth. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, Riscala. What a beautiful day it is. Boy, it's a great day to be out in the water.
Yeah, well, I see that you pulled up without your kayak this morning.
No, I'm down in Fort Lauderdale this weekend with family. We had a family reunion, so no fishing, just family.
Okay, you heard it first here on the Fish Florida Show, ladies and gentlemen. She is not fishing this weekend.
All the fish are safe.
Oh, my goodness. And always, as always, a good morning to my producer. Good morning, Captain Hook.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing over there?
On this side of the state, we're doing pretty good. What does it look like over there?
So far, so good. Yesterday, we had the monsoon rains over here for about 3 different times, and looks like today is going to be a lot better here on the West Coast.
Appears to be going to be a clear and sunny day as well over here. So if you've got anything in mind, today is going to be the day to do it, because tomorrow is Monday. And of course, today being the 17th of June is the one day that we celebrate fathers. So if you're a father out there, a dad out there, a happy Father's Day to you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for helping to keep the family together, and blessings to you as well. So we'll have a wide variety of guests like we normally do. This morning we're going to have Robert Warner. He is with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. We're going to have Carolyn Stash, who has a very interesting story to share with us this morning. Carolyn is with Atlas Tracks. We're going to have Mike Simcoe. Mike Simcoe is with kitefishing.com. He's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on with the kites. Jason Liberis. Jason Liberis is with themetaledge.com. And then finally we will have the one and only crappy psychic Captain Folse, who will be calling in from Louisiana and sharing information from Louisiana as well. So we've got a full lineup for you this morning. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to join in, you can always reach us on the website, which is fishfloridashow.com. If you go to the website, there is a chat window there. If you have a question, a comment, or something like that, you can put it in there. We'll get it right away. We'll announce it over the air. And we can go from there. As we approach the magic moment here, we'll have Robert on in a moment. Before I do that, I wanted to ask Miss Pam, anything new going on, Miss Pam? Any new tournaments that you want to mention before we get started?
I do know that Captain Lori Denton over in West Palm Beach is putting together a ladies clinic at the end of the month. And she's also going to have just ladies only tournament.
Wow.
Very inexpensive. It's only, I think, $35 to enter. If you're interested in anything offshore, I'm going to be at West Marine next Saturday talking about offshore fishing and kayaks.
Wow. Where is West Marine?
It's in the Tyrone Square area over in, the St. Pete area on the West Coast.
So you'll be in the St. Pete area giving advice, if you will.
You got it.
Well, I appreciate that. You always have such an amazing amount of information for us, and your perspective, being literally level with the water. You have a different perspective than those who are in a boat, for example, because they're above the water, sometimes several feet above the water. Here you are literally at the water's edge. And I keep remembering about that picture that you sent me with the sailfish. A fish almost as big as the vessel that she's in. She's got to grab a hold of this thing so somebody could take a picture of it. Very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
So anyway, my first guest is Robert Warner. He's with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Great.
A happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Hey, I want to thank you for all your help last week when I texted you with questions on size of fish. You were so great at responding so quickly.
No problem. I just heard you mention that Lori Denton is having a class and a tournament over here. If you could forward me that information afterwards, we'll get that out online and so everybody knows that it's going on. That's a great thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yep, that's awesome. And yes,
Mr. Robert.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there for a start. So.
And a follow-up?
Hello? Oh, there you are. Yep, you came back. You clicked out for a minute. I just wanted to say Happy Father's Day to everybody. If you're looking for something to do for Dad today, take him fishing.
There
I
you
don't
go.
think there's too many dads out there that'll object to going fishing today. So the weather's beautiful. At least it is over here. One of the few days we've had without rain. We've actually had 2 in a row now with no rain, so I'm pretty impressed here. So, but
And Dad, if your kids are little, take them fishing.
Yeah.
that's right. You can just pretend they're taking you fishing. Take them instead. So.
You know, Robert, you mentioned the rain. Where I'm at, we've had so much rain. I'm actually having a problem with ants now. They're looking for higher
Yes.
ground. And,
Yes,
these
absolutely.
little bitty ants are on my table. There's nothing on the table for them. There's no water or food or anything on the table. It's my equipment. But I see these little ants, and you can barely see the little rascals, and they end up crawling on my arm, and I feel something crawling on my arm, and it drives me crazy. But that's what's been happening. We've had so much water that the ants are literally coming out of the ground, and they're now in the house and enjoying my air conditioning.
Well, I
Yeah,
know
they're
for
just
the,
looking for someplace dry. So, yeah.
Yep.
I know for the bait guys, this is tough too, because a lot of the bait guys are on the intercoastal, and they have their big pens that are in the intercoastal. And with so much fresh water that's come through there, and the opening of Okeechobee, that it's hard for them to keep their bait alive.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's-
speaking of Lake Okeechobee, I don't know if everybody's been following that. I'm assuming they have because they care about the quality of the water. But I want to thank Mike Helm for all of the work he has done. He's a West Coast guy, and he's done a lot of great work. He actually got in touch with Aaron Brockovich, who is now involved in this, and I just want to thank him for doing everything he has done. We fight it as much as we can over here on the other coast, but he has done a tremendous job. What they're doing is horrible. I mean, if you've seen the river, if you've seen blue-green algae or smelled blue-green algae, you know how bad it can be, and I just wanted to thank him for all the work he's done.
Robert, I want to take a moment and just kind of describe what's going on, because some people may not be clear about what's happening.
Well, what's happening is the water the runoff, when they have to open the locks, when the lake gets too high, they open the locks going east and west now. It goes out into the rivers over on the west coast. It comes out into the St. Lucie River over here on the east coast. As of today, we have water warnings going from Fort Pierce to the Jupiter Inlet now, where they're warning you to please not get in the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not good. Over on the West Coast, I think they've gotten the worst of it so far this season. They've already got the blue-green algae, which is toxic to anything. It is highly toxic. Recommended that you stay away from it. It smells really bad to begin with, but what the historic flow of Lake Okeechobee was south through the Everglades. It flowed through the Sawgrass, did all of that, filtered itself, went down into the Shark River down by Homestead, and that was it. But because of the building of places like South Bay and things like that, they're going to have to figure out a way to divert it around these cities they've built south of the lake. But it can't keep going east and west into these rivers. It's going to eventually kill the Indian River Lagoon, and when they do that, that is the largest fish nursery, and it's a huge ecosystem on the East Coast. It is the largest fish nursery on the entire East Coast of the United States, and it will have a devastating effect not only on recreational fishing but commercial fishing if they don't do something to stop this soon.
So, Robert, and I think you know the answer to this. This is why I'm asking you particularly. Why is this happening?
Well, it's happening because the government has just folded to the big sugar companies is what it really comes down to. They are allowing, our quality of life to be determined by corporations. That's exactly what's going on. I don't know a nicer way to say it, but
yeah.
That's the only way I know to say it is they've sacrificed our quality of life for money is what's happening. So.
And it's not just a sugar corporation. This is a common denominator among all these big corporations. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about profit, regardless of what it costs to get to that profit. It's all
Correct.
about that. So if you're somebody who's living here in South Florida and you care about our water, then I'm asking you a personal favor to step up, stand out, call your representatives, tell them you're not happy with what's going on. this is going to not only affect us now, but it's going to affect us in the future. What about our kids? What about our grandkids? What are we leaving them?
Exactly.
How responsible are we for standing alongside and watching this happen and not doing anything? Now you know about it, so you don't have the option of saying, I didn't know. You now know. So now it's up, the responsibility now rests upon you who feel a love towards the water here in South Florida. The responsibility is now on your shoulder. We have told you things are happening that are literally going to affect our future as far as the water is concerned. It's going to affect the coral reefs. It's going to affect the
estuaries,
natural resources, the estuary. There's no reason to remain silent, and there's every reason to stand up, write to your representative, email your representative. If you have a fax machine, fax them, call them, meet them at a hall meeting, and call them out on this stuff. We need to start holding people responsible for what is happening around here. And this is just one of the things. Until we as a people become more active in what's going on, we're going to relinquish our rights to things like corporations, like Robert has described. These big, large corporations who have a very large financial power. They're able to yield that power, whether we like it or not. And the only recourse that we are going to have is what you're hearing right now, a voice. So make your voice heard, ladies and gentlemen. This is our waterways. This is our future. We don't want to see mistake happen while it's happening and not do anything about it. I guess that's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So have we got any tournaments going on, Robert?
Well, there's tournaments going on, but more importantly, over on the West Coast, this is your big red snapper season. We do not have one on the East Coast this year. So if you have a taste for red snapper, I think you got till July 21st. Is that right?
Yeah, the 11th or the 21st. You are correct. Oh, warning!
So get out there and get them because they are tasty. We don't get to catch any on the East Coast this year. So everybody,
I lost you,
because
Robert.
There we go.
Cut out a little bit.
Am I back?
Yeah. I agree with you. I want to warn people on two things. FWC is at a lot of the docks, and they are inspecting catches. I've personally seen it. The other thing is if you're on your own private boat and not a head boat, make sure that you go in on your license and get a reef permit. It is free. It is free. But they are looking for that reef permit, that you do have that reef permit. And it just takes you 2 seconds on the computer and you have it.
Okay, wait a second. Do I understand you correctly? You can have a fishing license, but the fishing license is not valid unless you have a reef permit?
No, the fishing license is valid. Mm-hmm. But if you're targeting red snapper, there's a reef permit, and they ask you when you get your license online, they ask you, do you want it, yes or no? It's kind of like a snook permit.
Like a snook stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a snook stamp. Yep.
And, but there's no cost to it, and they use it to check basically how many people may target the red snapper.
Sure.
But like I said, look up if you don't know the limits, you don't know the sizes, please go online and look it up, because FWC is sitting at a lot of the docks, and they're sitting there on the weekends as well.
Wow.
Good to know.
Yeah, keeps everybody legal.
I'm curious if you know, Pam. I go out fishing and I catch a red snapper, and I don't know any better. I'm ignorant, I'm stupid, whatever you want to call it. And I come back to the reef. I come back to the docks, and I have red snapper with me, and FWC is there. What are they going to do? Are they going to fine me? They're going to arrest me? They're going to? I know they'll probably take the fish and throw it away.
Yeah, I doubt that they're going to arrest you, but sometimes if it's the first time, they may give you a warning. I don't know. I saw them talking to a lot of the people. I saw them talking to a couple captains too, and I think if it's like if you're catching over limit, I think that's worse than maybe not having your reef sticker. But I think the reef sticker is $100 fine.
My goodness. Wow. Okay, well.
But I think mostly what they're looking for is to see that people are under their limit. So.
Exactly.
So be aware when you're out there fishing that you just can't fish for anything. You've got rules and regulations, which I'll never understand in my whole lifetime, but that's a whole different story. And just be aware that you have rules and regulations out there, and you should know what you're getting into, because you might find yourself having to pay some money that you weren't expecting to pay.
I correlate it to driving. You need to know the rules of the road before you get out there and turn on the motor.
That's a good analogy.
That's a fact. There's a lot that don't seem to know, but yeah, that's a good analogy.
Exactly. You get my point.
Apparently they had someone read the book for them, but
Well, Robert, I'm up against the proverbial break before we go. People want to know.
You guys have a great day. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Great to talk to everybody again, and we'll talk to you next week.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. That's Robert with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Roger's Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Roger's Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. If you call me a grouper, stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riskella Stevens.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is the Fish Florida Show. I am your host, Riskella, with my special co-host this morning, Miss Pam Worth. And if you don't know who Pam is, she is one of the top female kayak anglers in Florida, always has a unique perspective to share with us. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love this show.
Oh, I appreciate you being here. It is truly an honor to have you here. And to my producer, Captain Hook, a happy Father's Day, Captain Hook.
Thank you, thank you. I hope I get a couple calls and maybe even a couple gifts today. We'll see.
Ooh, I got mine right here on the table. My daughter brought me a little bag. It says Happy Father's Day with some presents in it. Always feels so wonderful when you remember that your kids have taken the time to find something to kind of put a smile on your face. A good feeling. So happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. It is a special day for us dads. If you don't have anything scheduled today, we have a beautiful day here in South Florida. Get out there and do something. Enjoy the outdoors, especially because it's not monsooning. You know, it's been raining and raining and raining so much. I was sharing with Pam, it has been raining so much that we have these little bitty ants. You can barely even see these guys, and they're everywhere. They're looking for that higher ground, and I'll be sitting here at my desk, and all of a sudden I feel something crawling on me. It's these little ants. They don't bite, but just a pain in the behind is all. So it's nice to be able to see the sunshine. It's nice to be able to look out in the yard and not see water everywhere, and be able to begin to dry out a little bit. And as we do, it'll make for a beautiful day today, I think. What do you think there, Miss Pam?
I think it's lovely. I think if your kids aren't taking you fishing, then you should take your kids fishing.
Amen. I'm all for that. Keep the family together and do something as a family. Make it a memory that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. As old as I am, I can still remember from days way back when my dad would take the whole family fishing. We would go down to the Keys. We would fish off a bridge. We would go to Naples sometimes. We'd fish off the pier off at Naples. A whole wide variety of things, but always the most important thing for me is I remember it all. Memories for the rest of your life, and it was an enjoyable experience. It's a way to bond together between you and your kids or your favorite partner. Anyway, it looks like we may have Miss Carolyn on the line with us. Are you there, Miss Carolyn?
Yes, I am. Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Well, thank you. I was going to say Happy Father's Day to you, but that's all right.
Hey, no, that's okay. I mean, I act as mom and dad all the time. So, you know, when you're fixing up the house or you're repairing something, you're kind of dad at that moment. So that's fine with me.
So you wear both hats sometimes?
I wear both hats, and even at the same time. Absolutely. But I'm honored to do so, and Happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
Well, Miss Carolyn, you and I had a conversation yesterday. You've been a very busy young lady. Let's share a little bit about what you've been doing.
Well, sure. So I'm with Atlas Tracks, and we do marine and asset tracking. And there's a huge event that is only its second year that it's happened. And it is 100 paddleboarders and 35 support boats that left on Thursday, went over to Bimini to paddle back yesterday to raise money for cystic fibrosis. And we put trackers on all of the support boats on the way back over, and they left around 12:20 in the morning yesterday morning and arrived at the beach in Lake Worth anywhere from 12 o'clock for the elite paddlers, and 7:30 was the last group that came in on their hands and knees, exhausted, back over after 17 hours of being on a paddleboard. So that was a huge event that we were using our tracking devices for a totally different reason than theft tracking for a change, and a good cause.
You know, I was sharing with Pam this morning before we went on the air that you were going to be coming on and sharing this with us. And I said, I think they were paddleboarding. And then I realized to myself, my goodness, if they were paddleboarding from here all the way across to Bimini and back, that is one tremendous trip.
Well, I'll tell you how it actually what happened on the way over. On the way over, it was amazing. About 175 people met at Palm Beach. And we physically loaded 36 center consoles and paddleboards on all those vessels for 150 support staff and paddlers. So that included food and camera gear and water and snacks and everything they would need. They all went over by boat in a caravan. So that was kind of cool. And then they, Friday had a lay day, and then they all rendezvoused in the dark on the beach Saturday morning at midnight with helmet lights on and glow sticks in the dark. Most of them never even paddleboarding, in the dark or long distance, heading out across towards Florida. So if you can imagine a boat with about 7 people around it, if we're 6 hours in the dark heading back to Florida, I'm sure it's pretty daunting.
Wow.
Did the boat help with direction, or did each of the paddleboarders have navigation on their boards?
No, the paddleboarders only carried a whistle, their life jackets, and basically being in sight of the center consoles. So the paddleboarders were only about, maybe each group was about 15 to 30 feet away from each boat in case they needed emergency medical treatment, or they just needed to just pull up and collapse and rest, or use the rest facilities. So it was kind of little groups, caravans, after they separated 35 boats with about 6 men and women that were all around them. There was even someone that came over in a pedal bike, a floating pedal bike.
Carolyn, I want to go back to something you said a moment ago. Did you say 17 hours?
17 hours was the longest group of 5 that arrived at the beach when the sun was going down last night.
How did they not pass out from fatigue? Paddling for 17 hours?
Well, it was pretty amazing, and I had sent you a picture yesterday. One gentleman passed out right at the beach, and he couldn't get up, and they brought him right over to the tent for medical treatment. Some folks were arriving on their hands and knees, and the backs of their feet from just kneeling for so long were scuffed from the non-skid on the paddleboard.
Wow.
A few people had a couple of lawn chairs that they, old-fashioned lawn chair chairs they just folded and put in front of them. But it was a pretty emotional day because, each time one of the 100 landed at the beach, each one was either weeping, with family, or collapsing, or hugging Piper. Everyone got a medal as though they went into the Olympics and got up on a podium with photographs. It was a pretty amazing cause, and, at least it took us off of the theft recovery part of it. Like I said, for 24 hours straight, we all stayed up and kind of rooted them all on. But it was a pretty amazing event, and you can go to Crossing for a Cure. You can see all about it. It's a local charity for a local girl up in the Palm Beach area. And it was just amazing how last year it was 9 boats and 32 paddlers. This year it was capped at 100 paddlers and 36 boats.
Amazing.
Well done.
That's absolutely
absolutely.
amazing.
If we have a moment, I want to circle back around the theft real quick, if we can. So of course, people are pretty bold, and Scholar, you talked about people stealing things before and taking them out of your driveway and trying to recover them. The new folks that are deciding to steal are actually getting bold enough to go into buildings now, and they are able to, which happened about a week ago. They actually broke into a building, removed a 40-foot center console on a trailer, and the 15 guys climbed on it, as far as what we've heard from video, and stripped it in 6 hours as it was coming out of the building. So they're getting a little bolder and bolder unfortunately, for stealing large items.
While you're talking about that, one of the things that I wanted to mention regarding this paddleboarding, you had sent me a note from one of the people, I think it was one of the wives, I'm not sure, who said, which I have been saying all along about Atlas Tracks, peace of mind. This person knew where their loved one was at any given time. They knew that they had...
Yeah, absolutely. I totally forgot about that. So on the way over with the support boats, 2 boats had broken down, and I had just handed out trackers as a donation for them to carry for them for the weekend. So they broke down on the way to Bimini. They were 8 hours overdue in the dark, and no one knew they broke. If they didn't have the trackers, no one would have known where they were, where they broke down, where to look for them. And I had actually reached out to one of the wives who was really worried, and told her, don't worry, they both have trackers on the boat. They're 40 miles from Bimini. They're going 3 miles an hour. Not only that, I was able to alert everybody that was already in Bimini and tell them, hey, these guys won't be in at least until 1 o'clock in the morning, get them checked into the hotels. As they get closer, you guys might want to go out and recover them or retrieve them if they look like they're not moving anymore. But one boat towed the other boat all the way from Lake Worth to Bimini just to be at that event. And again, They were there. They're overdue in the dark. If they had no tracker, they would have never known where to send either the U.S. Coast Guard or the Bahamian authorities to find these guys.
That is amazing. Again, I go back to the peace of mind. How much money can you put on a peace of mind? And the investment to get involved in Atlas Tracks. This is one of my passions because in my life's experience, I've had things stolen from me. And it is a sickening feeling to come out and find that whatever you had, whether it's a car, a boat, a plane, a jet ski, whatever that might be, something that you worked hard to earn, and somebody decided that they wanted it more than you did and just decided they would take it from you. And then you have no recourse if you don't have something to track that with. The longer that it's gone, the less the opportunity for you to have it returned with minimal or no damage. The longer it stays in the other person's hands, the more the opportunity they have to either damage it or you never ever see it again, depending upon what it is.
How big is this tracker system?
That's the greatest thing. The tracker fits in your hand. It's only 3 inches by 2 inches. And I literally went boat to boat and just handed them out and assigned them the boat name and the boat captain. So people can move it from, vessel to a snowmobile to aircraft. We've got a few on helicopters now. And it requires no installation. So that's the beautiful thing. It's a live instant tracker that's satellite based that will tell you worldwide where that tracker is.
That's amazing.
So that's the best thing. And it's waterproof. So it's built for marine and snow and all these things that outdoorsman adventure type sports that we all love to do and we're out doing all the time.
That is just amazing. When you think about technology and how far we've come, this thing, you could slide it in the back pocket of somebody and you would know where that person is at any given time. Anywhere on the planet, within 4 feet, Carolyn?
Yeah, within 4 feet, you can actually see what dock slip or what driveway somebody's put something in, which is pretty amazing. And that also is attached with latitude and longitude. So if you have to send someone anywhere for rescue out in the Everglades on an airboat or, backcountry fishing offshore in the mountains, you can actually send someone to latitude and longitude. So for recovery, that's even a personal recovery of someone who's lost or broke down is just, immeasurable, the peace of mind for that. And the customer can self-track. They don't even need me. So if I disappeared out of the equation or someone couldn't get to me at nighttime, they can track their own family.
They can go online. You have a website or something. They go online and do it themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. They get every location every 10 minutes by email if they like. They can go on and see where the map, where their loved one is. Yesterday, we had a gentleman go about 130 miles offshore off of Tampa, and his wife was able to track him all day, knowing he was coming home, and actually had the barbecue grill on, I heard. So that they could have something after 313 miles of fishing.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I totally believe in what you're doing because I think that you got to go out there and have a good time. You've got to always take into consideration the safety factor because we want to have fun, but we want to be safe when we do it as well. And this is something that provides a peace of mind for the loved ones that are out there. Captain Hook has shared with us. He had a hair-raising experience. He's, from all aspects, he's lucky to be alive after what has happened. He was out offshore and the boat that he was in sank. They didn't have anything like Atlas tracks. He was one of the fortunate two, if I remember right, he can correct me. He was one of the fortunate two that made it back to shore after hours and hours and hours of being subjected to the harsh weather that's out there, the salt water and the wind and all of that. Had they had something like Atlas tracks, I would venture to say more than likely within an hour, maybe, if that long, they would have been found and they would have been relieved of that stress.
Oh, 100%, because usually when someone's going out for a long trip, somebody is home, even if it's a day trip, somebody's home kind of keeping an eye on them. So, absolutely, they would have seen something, the boat stop, and kind of just be drifting in the same general area. So, absolutely, I mean, safety is most important. Again, theft, the trackers are designed and used for theft, but safety is the most important part about why I came up with the maps and the idea of being able to track your family. So it's real important stuff.
It looks like Miss Pam, you got a question, Miss Pam?
I was being evil. I was thinking, boy, there's a couple people that outfish me every time. And I was wondering if I could sneak that on their kayaks.
Can I just tell you that I hear stories of people not with my trackers, but stories of people that are actually doing that. And some captains will check your duffel bag before you get on a boat. So I've heard of that going on. So I've heard it all, especially mini lobster season. You got any good spots? Well, yeah, but I can't tell you where they are.
So we have espionage, fishing espionage going on, where you sneak a tracker on somebody's vessel without them knowing about it, and if they start doing good, you could just find where they're at.
And it's crazy, and I've heard it over and over again. So it's not just me. It's not just hearing it one time, but you do hear it. Some captains do check your duffel bag if you're getting on board because they don't want anybody to know your spots. So, and it's funny because when I tried recovering these trackers from some of the boats yesterday, as they landed on the beach, about 7 of them didn't give the tracker back. They're like, "We're keeping it." So, that's fine with me too. Go on home, and we'll talk to you next week.
Wow.
That's cool. No, I'm really impressed, and especially even with the kayaks when we go offshore. We relayed this 2 weeks ago that when we had a tournament off Pompano Beach, and on the radio we heard a mayday, a boat going under, a boat sinking, a person in the water. So our help boats went out to help this person. It turned out this person was not part of the tournament. He had just gone out on his own. Nobody in his family knew where he was. And if we hadn't have had that tournament and had as many kayaks out there and boats out there looking, preventing or looking for trouble, who knows what would happen to this guy, because he was probably about a mile and a half out.
Wow.
Right,
So
and one person bobbing in the sea is really small. And if you don't have your life jackets on and you don't have your personal equipment and you can't think when your boat's sinking of what to grab, then, you do have that. You could have turned out differently. So, I appreciate you mentioning that, and that kayak tournament was excellent. I'm over in Pompano area, so I definitely was keeping an eye on y'all too.
Yeah, so I think that personal tracker is amazing. I'm real interested in that. Very cool.
And it's $450 for the hardware. You can't beat that, and the service is $1 a day. I mean, how was it worth that peace of mind to that wife who was worried about her husband when he was overdue in the dark, heading to an island in the Bahamas with no good navigational directional beacons and things? I think so.
Yep.
A one-time fee, it's worth it. But we do rentals. That's something else I mentioned with Scala before. If we have inventory, we will do short-term rentals. If someone's just popping to the Bahamas for a day or a weekend, so whatever it takes, whatever we can do to help people. So, definitely look us up at Atlas Tracks, ATLASTRAX.com, or reach out to me anytime. I'm 24/7, Rascala, you know that, 954-465-3743. And I was definitely 24/7 from midnight on yesterday, so.
Well, thank you, Miss Carolyn. I appreciate you taking the time to call in and sharing with us an amazing story. I'm up against a break, so don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscella. Don't go away.
That was
we'll
really
be right
cool.
back.
Way to go. Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit
ignition. And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Adkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is a beautiful day here in South Florida. It looks like it's going to continue to be a beautiful day. If you don't have anything planned, I would do it now. And a happy Father's Day to all of you gentlemen out there who are dads. God bless you and keep you. And thank you for what you do. And this morning, I have my special co-host with me, Miss Pam Worth. Miss Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers in Florida. She has a unique perspective when it comes to fishing. She's right there literally at the water's level. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Love this show.
An honor and a privilege to have you here, really. I enjoy you being here. You've always got some unique perspectives to share with the listeners, and it's always interesting. And that's really what it's about for me, to make it interesting as people wake up Sunday morning between 8 and 10 a.m. They're trying to figure out if they're going to do anything outside or not, and take a few minutes to listen in and enjoy all the different stories that we have to share with everybody. As we had, the last guest was Carolyn with Atlas Tracks, a very, very vital part of going out and enjoying the outdoors, particularly if you're going out in the ocean. The ocean, I have seen it behave literally like a puddle, and I've seen it behave so bad that you wouldn't want to be anywhere near it. I've seen both ends, and I'll tell you what, I've been out there. Just to share this quickly with you, I've been out there when the ocean literally is just as flat as you can be. It is so flat, there is a reflection of whatever it is in the ocean itself. And it begins to rain, and it rains, and it rains, and it rains. It rains so hard that if you don't have a compass on board, you don't know where you are. You have no idea where you're at. Everything looks the same. It's not like being on land where you see a tree or a stop sign or a traffic light or something like that. There's nothing like that out there. And it can become very concerning very quickly. If you don't, I hear something in the background. Oh, okay. If you don't have something to help you, and let other people know where you're at, it could become pretty pretty dangerous pretty quick, and that's really what we're trying to avoid. Anyway, we have another guest coming on, Mike with kitefishing.com. I like having Mike on because when I first heard about kite fishing, I thought it was a joke, to be honest with you. I thought, because I flew kites as a kid, and I thought, you're going to take this thing and fly and go fishing with it? It was nothing like that at all. Nothing like that in any way, shape, or form. Mike has been doing this for quite some time. It becomes quite elaborate. It is still simple in some ways, but it can become quite elaborate, and it is a vital tool. If you're out there looking for particular fish, this is a vital tool to have on hand. So, Mike, good morning. Thank you for taking the time to call in.
Good morning, Riscala and Pam. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Mike, you're a little low. If you could speak up just a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Oh, much better. Much, much better.
Great. Okay. So, hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm pretty sure we'd like to talk about kites, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I can tell you right now, I'm sitting in North Palm Beach. I'm looking outside at the water, and it's one of those days that you described, Riscal. It's flat, calm. There's hardly a breath of wind. There's still a little wind. I can see the treetops are blowing just slightly, maybe 5 knots. So on a day like today, if I was heading offshore and going to try my hand at kite fishing, this is the day that you're going to put a helium balloon on your kite. And I'm talking about a balloon that's probably 30, they sell them even 36 inches. So depending upon the conditions, we'll have a helium tank on the boat and blow the balloons up to this really large diameter, strap it to one of the spars on the kites, and then send them off.
Wow. So you don't necessarily rely on, quote, the wind per se.
Well, we find that, when we're fishing tournaments, and kite fishing is so productive, such a productive way to add some lines to your spread, put some live baits where live baits wouldn't otherwise be. We always try to fly a kite, so we can't let the weather necessarily stop us. Kites come in all shapes and sizes, as you know, but especially for wind conditions, as they vary. So an ultralight wind kite will fly, let's just say, an 8 to 10 knots of wind, very light winds. Anything below that, or even right on that line, I'll try to throw a helium kite on there. But then there's other kites that are made for medium winds, 10 to 15 knots. Let's call it heavy winds, 15 to 20, and then extra heavy, category 5 kind of kites that'll fly at anything over 25 knots.
Well,
so
can I back you up a minute for people who might not know? You said the purpose of the kite is to get a bait out where another bait might be. Can you kind of explain that and what fish you're targeting?
Yeah, well, what I really meant was that the kite will put baits out, live baits, in positions that normally aren't addressed when you're drifting a boat or even when you're trolling a boat. The kite obviously flies downwind, so wherever the wind is blowing, that kite is in that position away from the boat. So through a series of release clips, which are very similar to the ones that are used on outriggers, they're on the kite line. So this very line that's attached to the kite, there's a series of 1, 2, 3 clips that are in different positions, 75 feet, 150 feet, 225 feet from the boat. And those are connected to the rods that you're actually fishing with. So when you're fishing with a kite, if a pelagic fish like a dolphin, a kingfish, sailfish, even up to yellowfin tuna, will attack the live bait and then release it from the clip that is on the kite line. And now you're fighting the fish from the boat on your regular fishing rod and reel.
And the kites don't handle just one line, correct?
Correct. Excuse me?
They don't handle, if you're fishing with a kite, you're not fishing with just one line on the kite. You have multiple lines. Is that correct?
Yes, I fish up to three baits on any one particular kite that's being deployed.
And the advantage of that is it not only gets your bait away from the boat in a different direction, but now you can help keep the bait up near the surface.
Yeah, so when you have a frisky live bait that's kicking and struggling on the surface, imagine its hook is pretty much positioned above its back, or in its nose, it's struggling to fight away from that clip. And it creates this really great predatory response. You know, the attacks on these baits are really exciting.
Almost like my inshore topwater.
Sure. Yeah,
Mike,
very similar.
Have you got any pictures of the actual action happening, like a fish coming up to grab a bait while you're kite fishing? You got any pictures like that?
I sure do. I got video and pictures of that.
Yeah, pass that on to me if you would. Either email it to me or send it to me on my phone. I'd like to put it up on our Facebook page so people can get an idea of what it's like to be out there and be using one of these vital tools. This, I think of it as a vital tool, another way to be able to produce a good outcome that you may not be able to do otherwise.
I know some of us offshore anglers and kayaks, we do use kites. One of the questions I wanted to ask you too is if you're just getting into this, but let's take the boater who would use it more. How difficult is it to learn how to use the kite? Can you be up and running your first time out? Do you have videos that can help out?
I do. On my website, kitefishing.com, it's more of an instructional platform. So, there's some videos there. I've got some YouTube videos that show just so simple it is to fly a kite. There's a couple little tricks that, help somebody that's just starting, and they're going to seem a little counterintuitive. But, when you buy your kite, before you go and break it out and assemble it to go fishing, assemble it at home, wash it with a sponge and Dawn soap, rinse it and dry it. That's going to make this thing fly so much more easily. And that's a simple little home remedy for, some of the manufacturing effects that happen while they're putting these kites.
That's interesting that you say wash it. Why? Why do you wash it?
Well, it just turns out that we found whatever the process is in manufacturing fabric, regardless, is used and then rolled up for its final shipment to a facility. Let's say the kite manufacturing facility. It's got debris on it, and it's got some finishes on it that come from its original manufacturing process. Those need to be broken down a little bit. So to get the true effect consistently across the fabric, we need to break down some of those little Scotch guards or whatever type of chemical that's on the material.
That's interesting. Very interesting. So, Mike, I don't think I've ever asked you this. It just occurred to me while we were talking. Do you also sell kites?
I don't. What I do is all of my products, and I've developed a few in the years I've been doing this, are sold. They're sold through a local tackle company in North Palm Beach, and that's called Just Fishing Tackle. And other than that, I can direct people as they find products. I review products on the website, so as I do that, I direct people to where they can be purchased as well. And those are some of the best in class products I've found that I've actually used on my boat.
So if you're someone who's not literally selling kites, then you really don't have an axe to grind per se. I'm not going to push XYZ or ABC brand. I'm just here that somebody that uses this, and my experience is according to what I've used. This is my information that I have. So to me, it seems like it would be non-biased. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I would say it's very, very much so. I really just try to, in that quote-unquote unbiased way, just promote what works and why it works and how it works. Mm-hmm. It's really up to the individual. You know how it is. It's like buying a golf club. You have to like the way it looks to hit it right.
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of this is psychological. You got to feel good about putting something out, whether it be a lure, a hook, a leader, a kite. And when you're feeling good about it, that helps the fishing day.
That's amazing. So if somebody wants more information, they can find you online at kitefishing.com. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. And all my contact information is there. And I always just look forward to hearing from new people and helping them any way I can.
Mike, I don't know if I've asked you this before, but how long have you been doing this?
I think the first time I ever tried to fly a kite was in the Pompano Fishing Rodeo in 1986.
Wow.
So he's been doing it for a couple of days.
Well, I'll tell you, and I'll never forget, this is like along Pam's questioning. I walked on that boat supposedly as a guy that really knew how to fish, but they wanted me to fly these kites. I never had done it. We had a hell of a time that first day. So a lot's happened in the last 30-something years.
Wow.
We've figured out a lot of things that make it easier for the next guy.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you for taking the time to call in. Always interesting what you have to share with us. I think it's very unique to be able to use a kite and come up with success using, again, it's a tool. I refer to it as a tool. Anyway, we're up against that magic number. And one more time, if you want to reach Mike Simcoe, you can reach him at kitefishing.com. Thank you, Mike. Happy Father's Day. God bless you, sir. Looking forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's Statewide Pest Control Services for all your pest and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide Pest Control Services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. That's 877-488-7378. You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
WDBFradio.com. 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 I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. Just call me and Rubo. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
It is the top of the hour. You're listening to the Fish Florida Show. I am your host, Riscala, with my special co-host, Miss Pam Worth, one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida, and my one and only producer, Captain Hook. A happy Father's Day to you, Captain Hook, and a good morning to you, Miss Pam.
Good morning and happy Father's Day, Captain, and Riscala.
And happy Father's Day to you, Riscala. You've got plenty of them.
And happy Father's Day to all of you fathers who are out there. Thank you for what you do. And we've had a couple of very interesting guests on this morning. We've talked about the Florida Fisherman Magazine and all of the information that we have there. We've talked to Miss Carolyn with Atlas Tracks and some very, very vital information that she has shared with us. And Mike Simcoe with kite fishing. I always get a kick out of thinking about kite fishing because to me, when people talked with me about kite fishing, I always thought that was such a I can't think of the right word. It's just something that wasn't part of fishing. You know, I flew a kite as a kid. How could that possibly have anything to do with fishing? And to come to find out that it is really a vital part of fishing, that it is a vital tool that you can have, just like our app. You know, I haven't mentioned our app this morning. We have an app that you can download. It's free. It's called the Fish Florida app. On that app, there is, again, this is a vital tool. If you're going out and you're going to enjoy our outdoors, this will give you all kinds of information, weather information, tide information. You can even apply for a fishing license using the app. So a wide variety of information available to you on the app. You can listen to our show on the app. So I wanted to give a shout out to Miss Victoria. Thank you, Miss Victoria. Without you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So a big shout out to her and a big thank you as well. So my next guest is Jason Labares, and he is with themetaledge.com. They have a unique product, and I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about it. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, guys, and happy Father's Day. How's everybody doing today?
Very good, very good.
We are doing excellent, my friend. Happy Father's Day to you, too, as well. I think you're down in the Keys. Is that where you're at?
Yes, sir. I am down in beautiful Big Pine Key, Florida right now.
So talk to me a little bit about what's happening down there.
Well, it's hot. It's real hot. The weather is actually beautiful, a beautiful day to get out on the water and go fishing. We've got a light breeze right now. Fishing's been great. Fishing's been real great. There's lots of mahi out there. We actually fished the 2018 VFW Mahi tournament. We didn't do very good, unfortunately, but a lot of other people did. So, and all the proceeds went to help our veterans and good stuff like that. So, but a little bit about what we do is we do metal art design and fishing tournament trophies. This, like I said, the fishing tournament season is here, so we are very, very busy. We take our beautiful artwork and we mount them in red cedar wood bases and put plaques on them for various different fishing tournaments. You can see the different trophies on the website at www.themetaledge.com. You can order custom designs on the website, or you can just pick out one of the many, many various designs of fish and other stuff that we have on the website.
And you guys have been doing this for years, correct?
For about 10 years now, yes, sir. Yep.
So is somebody who clearly has the experience. If you're looking for someone with experience that can provide you with a piece of quality artwork, I think that you wouldn't have to go very far to find themetaledge.com online. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on regarding fishing down there. Other than the mahi-mahi, how are we doing on the bottom, on the reefs?
The reef's doing good. Grouper season's back in full swing right now. We've been doing real good on the groupers in about 65 feet of water, fishing right on the edge of that reef. I've been dropping down ballyhoo plugs and catching real good sized black groupers. Mutton snappers are still out there. You got to go a little bit deeper for the muttons. About 200 feet of water if you can find a nice big patch of sand. I like to drop down a nice clear weight instead of a lead weight. I use a plastic clear weight. That way the muttons can't see it because they're very, very skittish. And I also use about a 12-foot leader. And then we just drift. You just drop that down, you lock your bail up, and you start drifting in about 200 feet of water in that sand and hope for that skittish mutton bite. Like I said, they're very skittish. That's why you use such a long leader and a clear weight. Yellowtail have been doing great right outside the reef as well, about 60, 70 feet as well, but that's obviously that would be on top. We like to just put a thick line of chum out there, and then I do what's called yellowtail balling, where I put a small hook on my line, I put a small piece of bait, and then I make a chum ball around that, and we throw that out, and you let that sink very slowly, and that chum ball will actually dissipate, and your piece of bait makes it look more naturally floating, so because yellowtail are very skittish as well. So we've been getting good blackfin tuna, about 250 to 300 feet of water. The blackfin have been hitting. Lots of kingfish out there right now, and sailfish as well. Sailfish are coming back right now. I've been hearing a lot of people catching some good sailfish action. So they're out there. All you got to do is get down here and get out on that water and catch them up.
How far down is Big Pine Key? How far down the Keys?
I live at mile marker 30. So that's Big Pine Key is 30 miles north of Key West. So we're a little farther than halfway down the Keys.
You know, one of the things I say about so much I enjoy this show, I always learn something. You said something a little while ago I never really thought about, a clear sinker. Yes. Mutton snappers are very, very, very skittish. They have very good eyes comparable to other fish. So you can go to any local bait shop most of the time and buy clear sinkers, and they come in all different sizes just like the lead ones do. And they're specifically made for those mutton snappers. Wow. Yeah, and like I said, along with that clear sinker, you want to use a really, really long leader. That's amazing. I never even considered using a clear sinker. That's just something that you hear about and you go, wow, that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that?
About how much weight
you're learning all sorts of stuff today.
How much weight are you putting on?
It just depends on the current. The amount of weight you put on. If there's a lot of current, obviously you want a lot more weight. If there's almost no current and, it's closer to slack tide, you can put that smaller sinker on. But yeah, it just all depends on the current for the amount of weight.
And what bait are you throwing down there?
Generally I use chopped up ballyhoo for the mutton snappers. That works very well. Ballyhoo is just an all around great universal bait. You can troll with it. You can drop it on the bottom, and you're pretty much going to catch something with a ballyhoo chunk.
Now, we were talking earlier about limits on fish. Is mutton snapper really? It's not a red snapper, right?
No, mutton snapper is not a red snapper. It's a 16-inch limit for the mutton snappers, and I believe you can have one per person, maybe two. I haven't really checked up on those limits, but we generally don't keep more than one or two fish per person per day because you don't need more than that. I'm not out there to take as many fish as I possibly can. When we go fishing. We get enough fish for dinner for the night or maybe the next night, and that's it. We're not too greedy as far as the amount of fish comes. So.
I'm glad to see a responsible captain. I look on Facebook and sometimes I see pictures of people going out there and hit their limit every time with 10 people on the boat. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what are they going to do with all those groceries?
Exactly, and if everybody did that, then nobody would be fishing anymore. So, I'm a big hunter as well, so along with that comes the responsibility of conserving the, the environment and conserving our resources and allowing, the next generation to be able to get out there and go fishing and go hunting and enjoy the same stuff that we do. So that's a big thing, especially down here in the Florida Keys, because it is our livelihood for a lot of people, so.
You mentioned hunting. This is kind of a silly question, but I'm just curious. Is there any hunting that goes on in the Keys?
The only hunting that goes on in the Keys is hunting with a spear gun. I travel outside of Florida and do a lot of hunting out west, up in northern Florida as well. We do some pig hunting up there. I go out to New Mexico. I do some elk hunting, and Texas and pig hunting, and Georgia for deer hunting, and so, I do a lot of hunting down here, but that's the underwater hunting with a spear gun as well.
Now, have you done any spearfishing?
Yeah. We're me, my wife, my buddy Adam. We're all big spear fishermen. We love it. It's just something about the peacefulness of being underneath that water and getting to pick and choose your fish, and just being in the water it's just so relaxing rather than being on top of it. Don't get me wrong, being on the boat is still relaxing, but there's just something magical about being under the water and in that fish's environment. And, when you're on top of the water, you have the upper hand. And now you get in that water with a spear gun and you're on a level and even keel with that fish, in my mind, and it becomes more challenging.
I don't know about you, but over on the West Coast, we have I'm going to say it's a problem with the big Goliath grouper. I've seen a couple of guys, or more than a couple, lose their catches. That grouper will just pull out of nowhere and swallow it whole with the spear and everything. Have you had any of those problems, or are you more like issues with sharks?
Oh, yeah. We've been dealing with Goliath groupers for years down here. FWC has been going back and forth for many years about opening up a Goliath grouper season, maybe issuing some tags for it, and I'm all for it because every hole I dive on seems, one out of 3 holes has a big Goliath grouper on it. So they're definitely back. I don't believe that they should be on the endangered list anymore. I believe that, even if they should open up a tag season for them and give an angler 1 tag per year or something like that, because they really are everywhere.
And they're tremendous eaters. I mean, what they can put away. I saw one hit spoke about this, hit a kingfish and swallow that darn kingfish whole.
I've seen a video where a guy had caught a small shark, maybe about 2 or 3 foot long, brought it up to the boat, literally feet away from the boat, and they're in pretty deep water because the water's dark blue. Out of nowhere, the shadow shows up, and in the flash of an eye, this grouper comes up, swallows this thing at one shot, like a vacuum cleaner, and takes off. And then I've seen videos where people are down there spearfishing, and they've got a fish, and they're bringing it back up. They're not scuba diving; they're free diving. And they're on their way back up, and this thing comes out of the dark, out of nowhere, grabs a guy's arm and the fish, swallows the whole thing all at one time. Now the guy's fighting to get his arm out of this fish's mouth because half his arm all the way up to his elbow is stuck in this fish's mouth, and he's fighting desperately to get it out. It was quite a harrowing thing to watch. So I can imagine being down there, have one of these guys show up, and these are not small fish. These are the first Goliath grouper I'd ever seen in person was in Naples. I was probably 12 or 13 years old. Some kids were fishing off of the pier, and they hooked one of these fish. This thing was so big, they cleared the entire beach. They drug it along the pier until they got it up to the beach. And I guess at that time it was legal to keep them because somebody found out from one of the local restaurants that it was being pulled up. They were there ready to buy that thing right there on the spot. This thing was so large you could easily swallow a small human with one gulp.
And what I do when I'm down spearfishing, and because you deal with them, you deal with Goliaths, and you deal with a lot of barracudas as well spearfishing, because they're smart fish, and they especially the Goliaths, they pick a home and they live in that home. So if you're spearfishing around that home, that they live in, they're going to give you problems. So what I do when I go down there is if I notice one, and I'll shoot a few grunts or a few small type of fish, and I'll actually feed that Goliath grouper or feed that barracuda until it goes away and leaves me alone and allows me to go spear what I want to spear. Other than that, if I don't do that, the first hogfish I shoot, either that barracuda or that grouper is going to come over and eat it. So that's how I get around the pest problem, as you might want to say, is I just feed them. I give them what they want, and then they leave me alone. Wow. And then it allows me to go and shoot whatever I want to shoot. So, you know, it's their home and they got to eat too. And, you know, it's just like any other animal. We're invading their home, so you got to respect them a little bit. So
good point. Good point.
You know what I found interesting the first time I started diving was how loud it is underwater. Yes, it is peaceful. I love the water, but all the noises down there.
Yes, yeah. I use the noises to my advantage, especially when you're diving for lobsters. If you're ever under the water and you hear little clicking sounds, that's actually the lobsters rubbing their tentacles together and their little mouth feeler tentacles, and you can actually hone in on where the lobsters are if you're very attentive and listening to the different noises. You know, it's just like being out in the woods when you're hunting. You're going to hear noises and you're going to use all that stuff to your advantage.
Very, very, very interesting. Well, it's that time again. Jason, before we go, one last time, if people want to find you, reach you, how do they do that?
You can reach us on the interweb at www.themetaledge.com. That's www.themetaledge.com. Or you can give us a phone call at 917-577-8495. Or you can just shoot down to beautiful sunny Key West, Florida, and come down to the shop and check us on out.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Jason. Greatly appreciate it. Very informative, very interesting, and I hope to have you back on very soon. We'll be speaking to you shortly, my friend. God bless. Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to you guys, too. Enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye.
See you later. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket. Hit ignition. And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Adkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a beautiful day. It's turning out to be just a beautiful sunny day here in South Florida. I'm looking out and a few clouds here and there, but the sun is definitely out. It looks like it's going to be gorgeous. Get out there and enjoy it while we can. And this morning I have my special co-host with me, Pam Worth. Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers in Florida. She always brings to the table a unique perspective, and her and I were talking a little bit off the air, and I have something I think is very interesting I want to share with everybody. Good morning, Pam, and thank you for sharing with me what you did.
My pleasure. I always enjoy being here.
And I want to make sure that we say a happy Father's Day to all of you out there. Happy Father's Day to my producer, Captain Hook. Thank you for doing what you do, Captain Hook.
My pleasure, and happy Father's Day to you, Riscala.
You know, I love doing this show. One of the reasons I love doing this show is I'm always learning, constantly learning new things. Pam and I were speaking off the air, and something very interesting came up that her and I were discussing that I had no idea, and maybe some of you out there may not have any idea about as well. If you're going to target a specific fish or a particular species of fish, you are required by law, to have a particular kind of hardware. Let's go a little bit into that, Pam. What are we talking about?
Well, let's pick a fish such as your reef species. You're talking grouper, snapper, things like that. The way the law is written, it says if you're targeting, the word is targeting, reef fish, you're supposed to use a circle hook. Now, the reason for the circle hook is that when there's a little pressure pulled on it, it'll come out and hook the side of the mouth. You don't set the hook like you see the bass guys do.
Right.
You don't set the hook, you just pull the hook tight. And the purpose is to avoid gut hooking a fish.
Right. So, we know that when we gut hook them, there's very little chance they're going to survive.
Yeah, the survival rate is a lot less.
Yeah. So this hardware allows you to fish for particular fish, and if you happen to catch the fish, as much as possible, avoid that gut hooking. Hook them in the lip where it's easily taken out, and the amount of harm that's done to the fish is very minimal.
Right. A lot of captains say it's harder to catch fish on a circle hook. It's harder to hide the hook in the bait. I'm not going to do an opinion on that. I can only tell you what the law says. So if you're out there and you're targeting reef fish, make sure you have circle hooks on board. Now, if you're targeting AJs and your bycatch is reef fish, that's a whole nother thing. But if you are targeting the reef fish, please have the circle hooks on hand. It's kind of like also in Boca Grande, they've come out with different jigs that you're no longer allowed to use.
Oh.
Because on the tarpon, they want certain jigs that are, again, not, how do I want to say this, not snatching the tarpon, but actually hooking them in a safe manner, which makes them easier to release.
So that's another interesting aspect, that there are, if you're going to go fishing for tarpon, there are certain lures, do I understand right? Certain lures that are not permitted, that you're not supposed to use?
In Boca Grande itself.
Wow.
Especially during the tournaments. And again, it's to protect the fish. It's to get the fish in, off, and away.
I'm curious, don't we have an abundance of these fish, these tarpon? Isn't there an abundance of them now?
I don't know if you call them an abundance. They're still fairly protected, such as the fact you can take them out of the water if you need to remove the hook or grab a quick photo if they're under 36 inches. But how are you going to know that when they're in the water?
That's kind of a tricky question, isn't
it?
The
micro, and again, the fly guys are, some of the best times are catching baby or the small tarpon on flies. That's an amazing experience. And, if you're into fly fishing, I would suggest to grab a guide that knows what they're doing and go out and target, small tarpon.
We had someone, I'm trying to think of the name, who was targeting tarpon using fly rods, and I was shocked. I was shocked that they were catching these huge fish on these fly rods. I think of a fly rod, I think of catching like a trout or a salmon or something, something relatively not very big. These tarpon can get pretty doggone big.
Yeah, I think the average, they're using 12 weights. And the top guides, C.A. Richards, the top fly guides out there on tarpon. Tarpon will eat small. I think they're easier to catch with small bait than it is with the larger baits. Yeah. Well, what's that line? Even elephants eat peanuts?
Wow. So I want to go back for a minute because you told me something about a week or so ago that, was it tarpon that you said it's illegal to take out of the water?
Yeah. You can't technically, you're not allowed to take a tarpon out of the water, unless it's under 36 inches. The other one is Goliath grouper that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. You're not supposed to take those out of the water either.
Wow. Well, now, Goliath grouper, they're pretty big. So I think you'd have kind of a hard time trying to get one of those into the boat. I think a small Goliath grouper would probably be 100 pounds, right? That would be considered a baby, I think.
Yeah, well, I know 40, 50. Those are kind of where I've caught in the kayak.
Wow. And we talked a little bit about spearfishing and having these little monsters show up out of nowhere and really create a headache for you.
Yeah, I thank goodness I'm above the water.
Now, I think you mentioned to me, do you have spearfish? You've done spearfishing?
Yeah. When I was way back in the day when they really didn't have a lot of regulations and all the regulators were on your scuba gear were all nice and shiny and attracted the barracuda. I did some spearfishing back then down in the Keys before I'll tell you how old I am, before the new bridge was built and we had to go over the old Rickenbacker Railroad tracks. That was scary.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, like I said, it's always interesting, when I do the show because I'm always learning something. I don't pretend to be a professional. I pretend to be just an average guy who loves to talk about fishing and share all the different aspects of fishing and learn at the same time. I never knew that it was illegal to take particular fish out of the water. I never knew that, you really are required to have certain kind of hardware if you're going to go target certain kinds of fish. This is all a learning experience for me. And in learning, I'm hoping that those out there that may not know about this have learned as well. That's all part of doing what we do is try to make it interesting for you. And something that you can use, just like the Fish Florida app, a vital tool that you can have in the palm of your hand that gives you so much information, whether it is the weather, whether it is the tide, whether it is the winds, whatever that might be. You would have that in the palm of your hand, and that would be a vital tool in helping you enjoy the outdoors. So it's one of those things that I always enjoy doing, speaking about and learning. We're always learning about the fish. And we have so many regulations in comparison to when I was a child. It was just you get your fishing rod, you go down and you do fishing, and you catch whatever you catch. Today you've got, Pam shared with me a good analogy. It's like driving. It's before you can learn how to drive, you've got to learn the rules of the road. We spoke about stop signs, for example. You have to come to a complete stop, regardless of whether there's somebody there or not. It's the same thing with fishing. You're going to have to learn the rules of fishing. It's not where you can just go out and get whatever you want anymore. There are regulations and rules in place, and if you don't abide by them, what might be an enjoyable day could turn out to be quite a bit of a nightmare, right?
Right. And you've seen the fish come back. Look, you're here on the East Coast. Sailfish have come back abundantly. Wow. Since the IFGA changed their rules. They used to have on their tournaments, you brought the sailfish in. Now it's a leader tag with a circle hook. You're allowed, I think, a 15-foot leader. And once you tag the leader, it's considered a catch. You get extra points if you actually boat it and grab its bill to release it. So, and that's brought the sailfish population way back to the East Coast.
So, I understand with the regulations and the importance of conservation. And something that Jason brought up, when he went out fishing, he didn't go out fishing to boatload the boat. He went out fishing to catch enough to take care of a meal or two, and then allow someone else to have that as well. I think that is something that is absolutely vital to the rest of us, because there are so many of us that are here in South Florida that do love to fish. If every one of us went out there and tried to boatload everything every time, I would venture to say there wouldn't be a whole lot of fish left.
It'll make it tough on the other people. I agree with you.
So, what I'm looking for, and Pam, if you know of anybody, what I'm looking for now is to find somebody who does a lot of spearfishing, somebody who spends some time under the water so they can tell us what's going on in the reefs, what's happening, because they're seeing it up close and personal kind of thing.
Riscal, I'm working on it.
You're up on top of the water, or if you're in a kayak, for example, you're at the water's level. You're not down under the water. You're not seeing what's going on under the water, and that's a unique perspective I'd like to share with everybody. So if you know of anybody, Pam, or any of you listening, if you know of somebody who is an avid scuba diver or a spearfisher person, that let me know about that, because I'd like to have them on and share with us.
Riscal, I'm working on having a spearfishing guest on for next week.
Oh, great. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, they're going out. In fact, they're going out today and Monday, and that'll be their first time out this year. So we'll hopefully get a report and have them call in next week.
Excellent. Thank you so much for doing that. Appreciate the hard work that you do, Captain Hook.
That's my job.
Okay, yeah. Going back to hooks, I think one of the funniest things, I'm over at Tampa Fishing Outfitters in Tampa, probably one of the biggest tackle shops in Central Florida. But every now and then we have two things that people come in for. One is a galvanized hook.
Yeah, that was interesting. Please share that.
Yeah. Again, I mean, you hear, how many times you hear people go, oh man, I bagged one, but I lost 3. Okay. You lost 3. That means there's 3 fish out there with hooks. And the reason that we don't use galvanized hooks anymore is we want them to rust out and fall out of that fish's mouth or have the acids in the stomach, or the inside, turn around and rust that hook out so it can pass through. And hopefully that fish is going to survive for somebody else.
So you were sharing with me, technically galvanized hooks are illegal for particular fish?
Yeah, I don't know if they're illegal per se, but I don't know of any manufacturer that sells them in the Florida area.
Why, if you know, why would somebody want to use a galvanized hook?
Because they're tired of changing their hooks out on their lures, because usually it's because they didn't take proper care. I mean, when you use a lure, the first thing you need to do is when you get back to shore, I always keep a ton of bottled water. If I'm changing my lures out, the second I change it, I rinse the hooks out and put it aside. I hook them onto, I hook them onto a little, that floaty stuff that you play with in the pool.
Okay, yeah, I know.
It's like
what are they called, spaghetti?
Yeah, there's noodles.
Yeah,
the noodles. I cut a piece off and I have it on the side of my kayak, and that's where I put the lures that I've used already, and it's real easy just to give them a quick rinse. I learned that from West Palm Beach Pete. And it's a great way to take care of your lures, keep them out of the way, and remind you not to put them back into your tackle box until you've rinsed them. Until you've rinsed them and they're dry. Yeah. And that avoids a lot of hook changes. So my hook changes are not for us. They're more for bent hooks.
I see. So I've learned today that it may be not illegal, but in a way immoral to use a galvanized hook, because if it is busted off into fish, the odds of that breaking down and allowing that fish to be free of that are few to none. I've learned that if you're going to target a particular species of fish, particularly reef fishing, if you're fishing for snapper or something like that, you should be using a particular kind of hook. Always interesting. Always, I go back to what Pam shared with me. It's kind of like driving. You need to know the rules of the road. So if you're going to go out fishing, at least know the rules of fishing before you get out there, because again, something that could be very enjoyable could turn out to be a nightmare for you. And that's really what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to have people go out, enjoy themselves, enjoy the outdoors that we have, enjoy this wonderful place that we call Florida, and come back and have a positive, memorable experience instead of, oh my gosh, they caught me with this and I had to pay that, and it was just a nightmare. Kind of like getting a ticket in a car. It just doesn't settle well.
Yeah. It's just not going to set your day right.
All right. Well, it is that magic time again. We're going to take a break. Please don't go away. We have one more guest coming on who is the Crappy Psychic, who will be with us shortly. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fish Florida Show.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out. Fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. It calls me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, good morning to all of you wonderful people out there. If you're just joining, this is the last segment of the Fish Florida Show this Sunday, June the 17th. It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And, of course, this morning I have my special co-host with me, Pam. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, and happy Father's Day, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And
thank
you too,
ma'am.
Captain.
Thank you, sir. Gosh, you want to slap me? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. And, of course, my producer, Captain Hook, happy Father's Day to you, Captain Hook. Thank you for what you do in the background.
No problem, and to you as well.
So my next guest is somebody who I enjoy having on. I haven't had him on in a while. He refers to himself as a crappie psychic. I like to refer to him as the Sac-O-Lait psychic because they refer to the crappie there in Louisiana as Sac-O-Lait. And he'll tell us a little bit about that in just a second. Good morning, Captain Clyde. Welcome to the Fish Florida Show.
Good morning, Riscala. How you doing? And a happy Father's Day to all.
Well, thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate that.
It's so good to hear from you. I love your accent.
Well, thank you very much. I can really pour it on thick, but I'm gonna try to keep it to where people can understand what I'm talking about. We're out here fishing now, so I'm calling you live out in the bayous of Louisiana.
Hot dog.
In the middle of catching dinner. What are you using right now?
Of course, I'm using my crappie trailers and my crappie ammo on some little tube jigs, and we're fishing for Sac-O-Lait, which is our name for crappie, and brim and perch and catfish and bass. Whatever hits, we'll take it.
You got it. You got it. Do you have like favorite colors that you use for crappie?
Yes, I do. My all-time favorite color is black and white. It doesn't really matter what type of tube jig or manufacturer. I like black and white, and I use a chartreuse crappie trailer with a chartreuse crappie ammo. And that's my favorite. But I will change up a little bit if they're biting on something else.
Well, I'm biting on something else. I've heard some people like to use that pink and white also. Or is that like?
No, pink's a very good color. We have pink crappie trailers as well, pink crappie ammo. We have a fluorescent yellow. We have white. So we have quite a few colors.
Is there a particular water depth right now? This is midsummer. Are they moving into deeper water with the warm?
Well, the water depth depends on where you're fishing. Now, you guys over there in Florida probably have some deep, clear water lakes where you probably have to go down 14, 15, 16 feet. Yeah, I'm in the bayous of deep South Louisiana, so we fish them all year round from anywhere from 1 foot to 3 foot, and that's about as deep as we fish.
And you keep the boat floating in 1 1 foot of water?
Oh yeah. We got a trolling motor. We just trim the outboard up, and I've caught them already fishing 8 inches deep under a cart. Because see, Louisiana water bottoms are not like, where you're fishing at. You're fishing nice, hard, sandy, rocky bottoms. We have maybe, we might have 2-3 foot of grass off the bottom. And then you'll have, a foot of water, above the grass. And the fish stay down in the grass, and then when you pull your bait over the top of that grass, they'll come up from the grass and hit it.
That's interesting.
You know what I find? I was kind of surprised, and tell me what kind of line that you're using. But I've had several people who do freshwater fishing, and they use like 50-pound tests.
I use 8 to 10 pounds. Right now, I'm just getting off the 8-pound test, and I'm going to 10-pound because in the heat of the summer in July and August, when fishing for sockeye down here, we will hook on to some 15 and 20-pound blue cat.
Wow!
And I love fighting them, and I love landing them, and I love bringing them home because they're delicious to eat. So I kind of go up to 10 pounds, give me a better chance of landing those bigger fish.
Now, are you using mono or braid?
I believe in mono. I'm old fashioned. I love mono, moss green, extra smooth casting, not extra tough. And that's just what I've been using for a long time. So I'm kind of stubborn when it comes to the line.
Hey, if it's working, why change it, right?
If it's not
Exactly. I really don't think the line is as important as the baits that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
And like I told Riscala in the past, what's so good about our products is it's an enhancer. And so you don't have to change what your favorite bait is. That's why we're doing so well. You just add this to whatever you're using, including live bait. If you're using live minnows, you still add one of my scented trailers to your live minnow, and it will increase your catch dramatically.
Now you said a key word there, scented trailer. It's just not a trailer; it's a scented trailer.
Oh yeah, the scent is 50% of why it works so well. The other reason is, of course, the action because of its design. We have a unique design. It's diamond shaped, so you got 4 water grabbing edges on that trailer. So it gives it a lot more action than if it was round or flat.
Amazing.
Now, how do you hook that, or how do you attach it onto your line?
Well, one end of it has a tiny little ball, and that's the you just put your hook right through that ball, and you let it go down in the round part of your hook. You just let it sit down there.
Okay.
And it's a trailer.
Okay, did you put your bait on, just for people who've never used one before, do you put your bait on afterwards on the same hook?
No, you put your bait on first.
Okay.
The trailer goes on next, and then if you're going to follow it up with our little tiny crappie ammo, which is really good to follow it up with. I mean, just the trailer itself will work, but the crappie ammo is tiny, but it's salt infused, so it's got a lot of psychic sauce absorbed in it. So that little BB, and that's why we call them ammo, because it's about the size of a BB from a child's BB gun. Holds up punch, a lot of our scent. So that helps too. But that's the last 2 things you put on your hook.
Wow.
Okay.
So
the little ball.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. The little ball on the trailer kind of acts like a pendulum. So, once you stick it through the center of that ball, it gets to move it gets to move back and forth, side to side, all over the place.
Nice.
So that ball is key for the action part of it, and we found that out through trial and error.
Now, are you jigging it or reeling it in or just leaving it out there?
We have customers that do everything. They jig them, they long line them, they troll them. My technique of fishing is I'm casting. I'm looking for piles of grass and brush piles, and I'm casting, trolling with the trolling motor, and I'm casting towards it and just popping the carp. Pop, let it sit, pop, let it sit. Kind of the same way our speckled trout fishermen fish over here in saltwater. You guys might call them sea trout. We call them speckled trout. But I have trailers. I have trailers for the saltwater guys too, and they absolutely love them.
For redfish?
Oh yeah, redfish, speckled trout, flounder. I even have mega trailers for the offshore guys: red snapper, grouper, cobia, tuna, tarpon. They work on just about all the offshore species.
Amazing. And Captain Folse, how long have you been doing what you're doing?
July 20th will be our 4-year anniversary.
Wow.
So we haven't been in it a long time, but we're growing constantly. We've been doubling in size every year. So we've been doubling in sales every year. And now it's going to get a little better for me because Friday was my last day of actual work at my chemical plant I used to work for. And so I'm retired now, and I'll be able to devote 100% of my time to the Crappie Psychic.
Well, congratulations on that, my friend.
That's an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. 25 years of it was a long, hard road to hoe, but I put it in there, and now I'm reaping the benefits. And I just wanted to let you guys know something else. I mean, any of your friends down there in Florida ever want to make a trip, I do charter trips now. I got my captain's license, and I'm a charter guide, so I do try to do 8 to 10 charter trips a month. And, if any of your audience would love to get in on some awesome Louisiana Sac-a-lait fishing, they could contact me.
And that's why I like to refer to you as the Sac-a-lait Psychic. I think that rolls off the tongue better.
Well, it's a French word that means a sack of milk. So I mean, that's why they named them Sac-a-lait, because crappie are very good eating. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best eating fish that was ever created.
My. So you're out there fishing today for Father's Day. Have you caught anything so far?
I haven't, but my son's caught a couple, and my daughter's just getting back into the swing of it. She hadn't been fishing with us in probably 2 years, so she's not big for the fishing part of it, but she's doing this for her dad on Father's Day.
Bless her. That's great. Hey, what's your favorite recipe once you've got this in the boat?
Well, my wife has quite a few recipes that are just unbelievable. She is a Cajun chef. But if I have to have a choice, I just like them fried. I love them fried, and she makes what she calls her special sauce, and we just love having a big old fish fry with tater tots and French fries.
Wow.
We need to do a road trip.
Out to Louisiana. Here we come.
Anytime. Riscala knows he's got the hookup. So anytime you guys want to come here, maybe visit New Orleans, certain time of year, you can, because I'm not far from New Orleans. I'm only 45 minutes away.
Wow.
And, we'll definitely get you out on these waters. And what's good for people that's not from Louisiana, it's like a combination tour fishing trip. Most of my customers from out of state are constantly taking pictures and videos because the swamplands and the bayous down here in Louisiana are just amazing to people that's not used to it. I'm used to it, so I kind of take it for granted.
No, it is unique and it is beautiful.
I know that, what was that show that they had with the swamp guys, the alligator? You remember that?
Yeah, it's still on.
Yeah, that's Swamp
People.
Yeah. Yep. Those guys, RJ and J. Paul from the Houma area are my buddies.
Ah.
And they provide a unique perspective when they're out there doing what they're doing. I think some of these guys have nerves of steel. They go right up to these alligators and grab them. It's just amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, when I had my airboat company before this company, I would catch the smaller ones, jump out of the boat, catch them so the customers could at least touch them,
Oh my goodness. You jumped out of the boat, wrestled them, and brought them back in the airboat?
Well, I would get them on the marsh. I would jump out on the marsh and run them down and just grab them. But it wasn't big ones, it was little, 1.5 to 2.5 footers. I wouldn't go out there after a 10, 12 footer. I might come back minus a limb.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Captain Foltz, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to call in. We're running out of time, but before we do run out of time, I wanted to give you the opportunity. If somebody wants to reach you, how do they do that?
Well, they can check out our website, thecrappiepsychic.com. And it has to have that little word, the, however you pronounce it in front of it, THECRAPPIEPSYCHIC. crappypsychic.com. We have a great website. We also have a Facebook page, The Crappy Psychic. Like us on Facebook. And if you want to get in touch with me for a charter trip, that number would be 985-790-0862. Again, that's 985-790-0862.
Well, thank you, Captain Folse. We are all out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in and listening. We will be back in a week. Don't go away.